another national final returned to us. And the last time we saw it in Malta in 2018. But since then, they opted for the X Factor thing, where the winner of X Factor would then choose a song internally. We had Michaela and then Destiny. And now they're going back to the actual semifinal system. Just before the new year, it was announced that 20 songs were picked to fight for the Maltese ticket to Turin. But only 17 of those participated last night, because 5 of them were eliminated in a semifinal round, which is random. Like, 5 songs? Why bother? Anyway, it's a different story. But we did have this long show. They're always very long in Malta as well. They had a wildcard winner, Jessica Muscat, who was added as the last act to the lineup. And then we got the results. It was decided again by jury and a televote, but the televote had a much smaller sway in this one. Ultimately, we did have a 2-act battle between Aiden and Emma Muscat, and ultimately the decision was made. And the decision was that the winner of this national final would be Emma Muscat. The name of the song is Out of Sight, and she is going to Turin for Malta. She will be in the first half of the second semifinal, and she won the jury vote and the televote. Again, the televote only had a smaller way than the juries, but since she won both groups, it is obvious and evident that she is the choice by Malta for Eurovision. So we got to talk about the song. Gabe, penny for your thought.
I'm sorry, Malta, but I'm just worried it's...
Oh gosh, when you start a sentence with "I'm sorry," that's never a good way. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's really not. It's a good song, and she's got a great voice, and I enjoy it. But I just think this happens with ballads every year. Some of them get lost, and some of them get buried. And I think this is in danger of that. Now, whether that means placing very low in the final or not making the final, I don't know. But I'm certainly not, given what we were talking about for Malta last year with Destiny.
Yeah.
I think this is a very different equation for them this year. I think they're going to struggle to make the final. And if they do, it's not going to be a high placement.
Yeah, you did say that, this may get lost in the show. In order to get lost, you need to have had it in the first place. And I don't even think we could go down that route. I was just like, it's like I'm getting these flashbacks from 2017 Claudia Faniello Breathlessly, and I thought that one was a stronger entry to me, actually. I really have nothing to hold on to, and I feel bad. And I talked to several Maltese fans, and most of them were just very disappointed with the whole lineup to begin with. So I only listened also to the top 2 because I didn't have time to watch the whole thing. But she looks nice. She has a very beautiful voice, but everything about the staging, about the melody, there is virtually nothing. Maybe though, there is something with the juries there, because again, Claudia Faniello, I keep using that one because the closest I can think of, she finished in 7th place with the juries. Granted, she got 0 points from the televoter, so that wasn't even enough. But maybe something like this could happen, because there is something that Malta does really well with the juries. When it doesn't click, it's one of those countries, it's like the anti-Poland, right? It's like it does well with the juries, but then completely flops with the televote. And I still don't think it's going to be enough, even with jury support. Granted, all of the competition. I just could see that, especially in the second half, that they're going to put it in the second spot and just give that the sacrificial lamb, because there's not going to be a whole lot of hype around it, a lot of interest, or it's going to be the one that is being put between 2 very popular songs, as the break. It's just that kind of song that screams at me. So, yeah, unfortunately, I wish I could be more positive, but I was just like, it is out of sight and out of the grand final. I'm at this point for Malta, which is unfortunate. And that takes us to the question, did Malta make the wrong choice going back to a national final game? Should they stuck to what they've had before with picking an artist and then pick the song? Or you think this is still better?
This, I have to say, it was completely devoid of logic from Malta. They had, in the last few years, picked amazing entries. Like, they had got it dead right every time. I think most of us agree that Chameleon underperformed and was a great entry, did really well. Destiny, I don't think I need to say much more. She was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And, her song from 2020 may have done even better than her song in 2021 did. It depends who I guess I can see the little there. It's a different
I made a face
song, but it still would have gone. Yeah.
Okay.
You did. Sorry. You made a face. See? You're doing it without even noticing that.
No, but okay.
Never used to do that to me. But no, so my point is they had this really good formula going on with whatever they were doing internally, and they've thrown it all out. And I don't know whether there was some kind of deal they had with record labels that has expired, or a contract has changed, or what. But it's just you got into this really good place, and then you said, actually, no, we're going to tear up this book of things that work and replace it with a massive risk. And national finals, especially when you have a voting audience that small, are a huge risk. And it didn't work out. For my part, I think Look What You've Done Now by Mariana Conte should have won. That was my favorite. It was super catchy and the beat went really hard. I don't know whether that's a particularly popular opinion, but it's such a shame. You don't need to, if you're doing something this well, you don't need to, do a big fancy national final for the sake of it in this way.
Yeah, no, I don't think I can add much more. I listened to the runner-up as well, which would it be at the top of my list? No, but at least it was a little bit more entertaining and fun. And it would have been in Maltese, right? Unless he would have decided to change the lyrics at the very last minute. It was at least a lot more entertaining and interesting. I think it would have been a much better choice, in my view. So yeah, I wanted to say something else, and now it escaped me. But it's just so bland, and I don't know what else to say. I want to root for Malta. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. This is what I was being told by Maltese, my sources. Again, this is just me reporting. I'm not stating that as fact. But they're saying that a lot of the songwriters in Malta were very, very upset with the way things were done in Malta for the past couple of years, because they're being ignored for the bigger names and not getting all these Swedish songwriters. They want to have a platform. So there was a lot of pressure on the broadcaster to bring back the national final. And honestly, Destiny's song was one of my favorites last year, and it was a fantastic song. I still would have preferred for her to go for his national final, and I prefer a national final over something. I always would pick a national final over sending something good on, because it gives people the decision to send something. Even if we don't agree with that decision, at least we can say the people made that decision. There's always a little bit more of a connection when you say we chose that song for Eurovision. So I always will side with a national final, even if you have a great track record, as of like for instance, the Netherlands, right, picking songs. So I still would always side with the national final. And I think especially with Malta, where you have such an it's not quite as small as San Marino, but it's still a very small country. They don't have much exposure with the music scene or whatever. This is their platform to showcase their talent. So if we take that away from them as well now, it kind of sucks. So I understand that as well. Any questions about Malta in the chat at ESC United? Jelly says, I think Aiden was a much better choice. Emma Muscat is one of the biggest artists from Malta. I think they chose her because of her and not the song. Do you think there's some legitimacy to that?
I mean, people's reputation does always precede them. I think if you think about if a massive artist from the UK entered a UK national final, they would win with whatever it was they put in. It would render the whole thing irrelevant. And I think if she is really big in Malta, then it's probably the same effect here. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I think the fame effect is huge when it comes to national finals.
Yeah. Eurofan SF saying, Matt and Gabe, be prepared to eat some crow in May. Emma song is an earworm. Oh my god, that is so exciting. So she's changing it? that I'm so happy to hear that she's going to have an earworm actually at Eurovision. Yay! So I'm looking forward to her new entry, kind of like what Ira Lasko has done.
Very good. No, I'm proud of you for that one. That was great.
Thank you. Seriously though, I you may be right. You never know. I have learned. We all saw our jaws drop when Say Na 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 went to the finals. So you never know what's going to happen. And as I pointed out at the very beginning, breathlessly finished 7th with the televoters. With the juries. Or 6. But you need to get the televoters on your side to make it a little further. And I just don't see that song actually, go too far. But I'm the kind of person, I think Gabe will actually, no, I shouldn't speak for Gabe. I could never ever root against a song, even if I don't like it. If people like it, then it goes through. And then I was like, I don't get it. I don't like Slovenia, Malta goes through. I'm like, that's a surprise to me. But I would never ever be like, this is BS and da 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 da. I'm like, no, that's just what people or juries decided, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. And this is something that I've definitely been guilty of in the past, which is something I try not to do now, rooting against, because there's a few things. What I think learn the more time you spend around the contest, and I think, Matt, especially for you, having interviewed artists and met artists every year, and you get to know these people on a human level as well, so you probably feel this even stronger than I do.
Yeah,
you have they're just people doing their best, doing what they love to do, and trying to make giving it everything. And they care what people think of them, and they have feelings and get insecure about what the rest of the world thinks of them, just like we do. And the way people go on Twitter sometimes, it's just not right. And it's one thing being critical of a song, it's one thing saying that perhaps something isn't your cup of tea, or you don't like it or whatever, but the way some elements, and I said this in a much angrier way last year about some unprofessional people in the press center, the way some elements of this fandom treat the artists almost as if they're objects or trading cards or something that you can tear up and burn when you decide you don't like them.
I love that, what you're saying there.
It's really sad, and I think we should all watch how we behave. And I think we have to treat people with the respect that they deserve, even if we don't like the song that they're bringing, even if we wanted a different song to get through.
Yeah. And even when I pick on a song, first of all, it's really not the artist, because, that's what, you need to be a little bit more fun and entertaining, but it's never against the artist. And I remember in 2019, you remember in Romania, the controversial national final about the outcome, all the favorites, and then this random song was chosen and all that stuff. And Esta Peony, I interviewed her on the red carpet or green carpet or orange carpet. I don't remember what color they decided that year, but whatever color it was, I talked to her, and she was so happy to be there, but she always implied she knows there's so much pressure and she just wanted to represent, make her country proud. And I felt my heart was going out to her, because you could tell that she felt that there was so much going on, knowing the circumstances, and I felt so bad. And that's what I always remember. These artists are there to represent their music and their country and their art, their craft. And for us to always just pick on them is not fair. So when I criticize the song, it's not the artist. Or certainly, even if I don't care for a voice or an artist as a whole, it should never become this personal thing. And I think people know when you use common sense, although I call it uncommon sense in this day and age, but if you apply common sense, you know what I'm talking about. There is a line that we all know. Criticism, when you're a public figure or music, it comes with the territory. We all understand that. But there is a line. They're still human beings, and they're going in there doing the best they can. And be mad at the organizers, be mad at the broadcaster, but don't be mad at the artists themselves for trying to put forward a song that they believe is good, and then for whatever reason ends up representing the country. You can't criticize everything else around it. That's just my personal opinion about that.
Yeah, I will say the exceptions to this do exist in the sense of obviously some
It's
people
Germany,
are bad
but
people.
I get it. No, I'm kidding.
And but I'm talking about, and I won't say his name because I don't consider him a Eurovision artist, and neither should anyone else. The fact that I think it's, and we won't go too far into it, but I think it's absolutely right, and in fact, I would say it's our duty to make it clear that convicted sexual abusers, for example, are not welcome as Eurovision entrants. And the fact that could
I don't know what you're talking about right now, so I agree, but I don't know.
I'll tell you after the stream.
Okay.
It's sort of it's public, but I don't want to but bad people have good lawyers, so I won't say it on here. I don't want to. Sorry, I'm derailing this. We're going off in a on a bit of a tangent. But yeah, it's just and the way that people. The things that people were saying about Destiny last year were just disgusting, and I get angry still thinking about it. I'll tell you what, I will tweet it once I'm off here, because if it's on my account on Twitter, then I can deal with it. But when I'm on here, it's ESC United, and that is, so I won't say the name on here.
Okay.
But what people were saying about Destiny last year was gross. Was so gross, and that's the kind of thing we have to make this contest as positive for the artists as it is for us, because it's such an amazing thing that we have all built together, and it's important that the artists are included in that too. And if we're lobbing eggs at them, then they're not going to enjoy themselves.
Completely agree. And people pointing out, use our example here about, Spanish people with Chanel. I know Chanel got so much backlash, and I was very disturbed by it. She deleted, was it her Twitter account, some social media account, because of all the stuff that was happening. I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Go to the broadcaster and say, it was say a few amount of people have too much power in a national final, when the favorite got 77 points, and then the second favorite got 19%, and then Chanel got taken only 3 to 4% from the televote. I understand the anger behind the selection process, but that is not the artist's fault. So I completely agree with that. So that's where we leave it at. We still, of course, not that, I wish the artist Emma the best of luck. It's not my kind of song, and I'm worried about Malta, because I think both Gabe and I were very clear, we want Malta to succeed, because this is such a great platform for them, and they should take advantage of it. I will defend the national final, but somebody said, and I meant to ask that actually before I move on, is about, do you think it makes sense to combine, gosh, who posted that? Oh, here, Saul. Do you think Malta should use X Factor Malta, but incorporate the song selection into X Factor, kind of like what Israel did? Do you think that would be a decent setup, maybe, to still keep that going, or you think that wouldn't work in Malta?
I wouldn't mind it if they chose the artist. I think that the best system would be to choose the artist through the show, and then deal with the song after, because then you can find a voice that you really want, and then add in the and then work on making a song that fits afterwards.
I got
the best system if they want to keep a national final, in my opinion, for Malta.
Sabrina just called me out. Matt, you just want to go to Malta. I'm like, guilty as charged. I'm desperate to go to Malta. I actually had a cruise planned for 2020 to go to Malta. I'm like, well, you know what happened, why I couldn't go, and that's why I'm so mad. I'm like, Croatia, I want to go to Croatia. Why are you messing this up with the song? So, go make it happen. Iceland, I hope you have a good song. Make it happen. There's so many countries I haven't seen yet. And so because when you do Eurovision for all these years, you kind of stop rooting for the song, but the country you really want to go to that you haven't seen in a while and that you can't afford. That's why I was so upset when Turin won. Turin hosted. So go Poland. So that is my answer.